Big Bronson Reed, man, we're excited. Grand Rapids Monday Night Raw coming up this Monday, November 11th, the Veterans Day show. And before we talk about that and everything else, I want to ask, Crown Jewel on Saturday, I was watching. I saw you take 3-4 curb stomps from Seth freaking Rollins, and I saw you got busted open. How are we feeling a few days later, even though I know you were on Raw the next day?
I'm starting to feel close to 100%. A little bit of glue in the eyebrow sort of fixed everything. But you can see I probably have a permanent scar from Seth freaking Rollins, so I'll get him back for that.
I mean, not a lot of people have permanent scars from Seth freaking Rollins, so that's a badge of honor as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's true. I guess he's definitely one of the top guys in WWE, but I'm trying to take that spot.
Now, the vast majority of us will never get to experience walking through the curtain to the cheers and boos of 20,000 plus people. Can you describe what that feeling is like? At Crown Jewel, you came out after Seth, after the whoas and all that stuff. What's it like, man, walking through to that massive crowd, and is it something you ever get used to?
I feel like you sort of do start becoming accustomed to, every Monday night I'm very it's very much the same, before, like, routine. It becomes routine, but some of those times when you're in a big matchup with someone like Seth and in a big arena like that, and you feel the people, it's more that you feel the people, you feel this energy, it's like a rush like nothing else. And I think that's why a lot of us want to keep doing what we're doing. We go through the bumps and bruises to get that rush.
Have you noticed that the crowds at some of these live events, I know the show in France was one that everybody talked about how loud it was, and have you noticed that the other crowds now are sort of trying to match that level of intensity where they want to be talked about like that crowd at that France show?
Yeah, I feel like that France was sort of like the kicker to get the more and more crowds to sort of react like that. And I feel like now so many of our PLEs are being overseas because we have all these markets where people want to see us and they're going to be as loud as possible. So hopefully it makes the Americans here compete for that as well.
Yeah, we need the crowd at Monday Night Raw in Grand Rapids to be huge this coming Monday, because we're getting close. I mean, Survivor Series is on the way, and then the Royal Rumble. We're hitting the road to WrestleMania here, so these crowds need to be hyped.
Yeah, it's going to be, Mania season is very crazy. Obviously, we have Survivor Series before then, but once we kick in and head into the road to WrestleMania, those crowds every week are crazy.
When you're battling it out with somebody like Seth Rollins and you hit the tsunami early and you're doing the suplex off the top rope and you're doing those big bumps, growing up, and you're not much younger than I am, but growing up, I remember, like, you hit one tsunami and it's over. What's it like going up against these guys, these resilient wrestlers now that one tsunami is not going to do it? Is that as Big Bronson Reed? Is it frustrating that you can't keep these dudes down?
Yeah, I mean, it sort of ups the ante. You have these performers that have been in the WWE for so long, and it's going to take a little bit more to keep them down. My mistake was I didn't go for the pin after the tsunami. So far, in WWE, the tsunami is the only maneuver that's undefeated. So no one's ever kicked out of it. Every time I hit it, it's 1, 2, 3. But I wanted to punish Seth a little bit more, so I went up to do a second one, and he moved out of the way. So that was my fault.
Well, you got your punishment on Monday Night Raw the following night. I saw the backstage interview where you said you're going to break Seth in half. You're going to break the ribs. You should have broken him that night. You didn't. You should have gone for the pin. You didn't. So then Monday night, not only does Seth get it, but Priest gets it. Sheamus gets it. Is it safe to say that no one is safe from Bronson Reed in WWE right now?
100%. No one is safe. Obviously, my eyes are targeted on Seth, and I'm going to go after him. But if you're in the way, you're going to get it as well. So I showed that on Monday night. Priest got the tsunami. Sheamus got the tsunami. Dom was very lucky that he didn't get a tsunami. He was out there hiding. I didn't see him. So I owe him one.
I think out of everyone that was involved in that match, the one that everyone would have loved to see get tsunami'd would have been Dirty Dominic.
Yeah. The problem is, if I hit him with a tsunami, he might actually die.
That's a good point. I agree with you. And then he'd have it, then everybody would be so bummed out. At least, well, Liv Morgan would be bummed out, maybe.
Yeah, maybe Liv Morgan. That's probably about it.
Can we talk about the singlet that you wore at Crown Jewel? Your tights are one of the ways that you guys can show personality outside of what you do in the ring. This time around, it looked to me, and I think even Corey Graves said it looked like a tribute to MF Doom, who passed away a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it definitely was. I'm a huge hip hop fan. I sort of like to bleed in like things that I like within my everyday life, like pop culture and stuff, into my wrestling. And you're right, having attire can be sort of a representation of that. And I have a friend back home who's an artist in Australia, and he designs all of my singlets. And I said, let's do an MF Doom one, and he made it MF Reed, and it was Operation Doomsday for Seth Rollins. So it was very cool.
Do you have some like sort of in the hopper, some that you want to do in the future that you're already working on?
I do. I actually have a few. I have one already ready for Royal Rumble, and I'm sort of thinking about Mania gear as well. But I don't want to spoil anything. I like these things to be a surprise.
Totally understand. Excited to see what you're rocking when you get to Grand Rapids on Monday. During your match with Seth, Michael Cole described you as an attraction, which seems like kind of the go-to description when it comes to professional wrestlers, athletes of your size back in the day. It was the Big Show and Big Van Vader and King Kong Bundy and Bam Bam Bigelow. When you first got into wrestling back in the early mid 2000s, you start to realize you could be one of those sort of attraction wrestlers. Is there somebody in particular that you modeled your style after when you first start going after this dream?
Yeah, when I first started, I was actually a lot smaller. I was about 270 pounds. So I didn't see myself as that attraction. But as I started, I got into powerlifting at the same time as wrestling. And as I got bigger and bigger, obviously being over 300 pounds, you do become that attraction, but you still have to do something to make you special. There's a lot of guys over 300 pounds, but getting to see me sort of fly through the air is what makes me that attraction. And of course, all the chaos I bring with going through tables and walls and all of that stuff. But someone that I like in my style too is Big Van Vader. I'm a huge fan of Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow as well. And I sort of think they were top superstars in the WWE, but they never reached that mountaintop. They never got to that championship. And I want to change that and have a guy like me that does my sort of style become champion.
I mean, Big Van Vader did appear on Boy Meets World, so you do.
He did.
I mean, there is
that
top of the mountain, man.
I mean, he reached the mountaintop in Japan and in WCW, but never in WWF. And now that it's WWE, that's what I want to be. I'm hunting for that championship that Gunther holds.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, everybody has their sort of WrestleMania moment. Yours right now is winning the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which I mean, in and of itself, he was the attraction, the OG attraction.
Yeah.
What do you think about your sort of dream WrestleMania moment? What does it look like for Bronson Reed? What's that pinnacle? Is it taking the strap from Gunther at next year's WrestleMania? Or what is your dream WrestleMania moment?
I guess my dream WrestleMania moment would be something like the boyhood dream, Shawn Michaels capturing that championship at WrestleMania. I remember watching that as a kid myself and seeing him hold the title and get down onto his knees. That's what everyone sort of dreams of. But maybe I'd do it a little bit different where, I'm a little bit more dominant and maybe I swing that title around my head.
I like that. That's good. Hopefully we get to hopefully we'll have the chance to see that obviously you want to see it next year, but in the not too distant future. And if you keep doing to guys what you're doing to guys like the 6 tsunamis to Seth Rollins, like throwing a fan at Braun Strowman and the Death Valley drivers through cars and tables, I have a feeling that we'll be talking about a Bronson Reed WrestleMania moment soon. When you have those big bump ideas, when you have what do you think about 6 tsunamis to Seth Rollins? What do you think about the superplex off the top rope or the Death Valley driver through or throwing a fan at? Do you go to Triple H and you say, hey, I have this idea? Does he come to you? Do you have, again, similar to the singlet question, do you have these ideas rolling around in your head like, I want to do this next. I want to put Braun Strowman through a wall, or I want to go through a wall with Braun or any of that stuff?
Yeah, I think for me, I've always been able to do these unique things and take the brunt of these things as well. You have to be willing to be able to throw your body through a wall or through tables and stuff like that. And I think once Triple H saw the vision of me doing these things, he sort of started letting the ball roll a little bit. And now it's a very collaborative effort of what can you do? Can you do this? And what can we try to one up next time?
And you're competing at a time where the opportunity for a viral video, I mean, WWE social media numbers are bananas. So when you have those videos, obviously the 6 tsunamis was huge, but they didn't have Van Vader, Bam Bigelow. Now the network, you can watch all that old stuff, but they didn't have the, Bam Bigelow doing a moonsault back in the day. That video would have gone viral now, but back then there wasn't a thing. So having these opportunities, it's got to be huge for you.
Yeah, very much so. Like having a viral moment is pretty important, and I've been lucky in the last 2 3 months to create like a numerous amount of viral moments that have seen like huge numbers across social media. Obviously, Six Tsunamis did, but when I did the tsunami onto Braun Strowman on the car, that actually got, I think I remember Triple H saying it was something over like 14 million views across social media. Like it was the most viewed thing in WWE at the time. So like those things are special to me.
How wild is it to have the guy from DX telling you about the amount of like YouTube views you have on a video? Because that's
It's very surreal at times. You know, I grew up being a big fan of himself and Shawn Michaels and DX, and then things are very serious. You know, he's a businessman, Triple H, and at times you see him as Triple H, the DX member, because you know he's out there having fun, and sometimes you do have to pinch yourself and be like, "Oh wait, this is this is the guy I grew up watching, the King of Kings."
yeah, now he's your boss. Yeah,
Now he's
the guy
boss
running the show. It's incredible.
And
So
he has a great vision for wrestling, though. So, like anything he says, usually is a winner.
yeah, as a fan and as someone who's watched for a really long time, you could see once he sort of got his hands in and started taking over a lot of that stuff, just how it's grown with these viral moments and the way things just feel different on some of these PLEs and the different events that WWE is doing. It's been fun to watch, man, and it's got. I mean, you can see from the hype around these events just how big it's been. So it's cool to see what Triple H has done.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it.
Monday night in Grand Rapids, Bronson Reed. What kind of chaos can we expect?
Well, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet, but I do know that I'm going to show up, kick in the door, and of course, I am the creator of chaos, so you have to be there to see what I do live in person.
Yeah, Monday night, Grand Rapids, Van Andel Arena. Tickets still available if you want to go get them. And looking forward to seeing you involved in Survivor Series, maybe a Royal Rumble victory. I mean, you already won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, maybe a main event at WrestleMania.
I'd love to see all those things, and if they don't happen in the distant future in this year, I do know they will happen eventually.
I have no doubt. Seeing what you can do in the ring and outside of the ring, and the chaos, as you said, that you bring, man, it's fun to watch. I appreciate you taking a few minutes. Thanks for working through some technical difficulties, man, and we'll look for you Monday night.
Of course. Thanks for having me.